KRMG Morning News. Last night, you heard it right here on KRMG, the President's State of the Union address and the Republican response. With reaction this morning, we turn to one of our own, United States Senator Jim Inhofe. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Joe.
Your initial reaction to last night's State of the Union address from President Obama.
Well, I was thinking back during the first State of the Union address by Bill Clinton, and I thought, this guy can say things that aren't true with greater conviction than anyone I've ever seen. I honestly think that Obama is better. And I don't mean that unkindly, but when he says things that he knows are not right, we know these are his weakest points, and he tries to make them into his strongest points. Things like, we will do our work openly. Well, everybody knows, Joe, that all these deals on his government-run health care, all these were done literally behind closed doors. You've seen the pictures of them. Yeah. We're going to exclude lobbyists from the White House. Well, we know the stories of Lincoln bedroom. So many things that he said. All of the troops are going to be out of Iraq by August. It's not going to happen. And I don't, frankly, I hope on the capital gains gesture he made, and that was the bone that he threw toward private enterprise, that he'll do it. But I don't think it'll come from him. So I was very disappointed. And at the same time, I have to say, Joe, that he is so incredibly eloquent that I see a lot of people, I look at next to me and I see people that don't believe this stuff, and they start nodding with approval. One thing I think is worth mentioning, and that is he only spent 7 minutes out of 70 minutes on national security or really national things, and I've never seen that happen before. And his gesture in terms of what's going to happen to NASA and all of this. So it certainly was not a national security speech.
There was a point during the speech last night where President Obama was talking about how some 95% of Americans got tax cuts, and then he kind of threw a jibe at the Republicans, saying, gosh, I really thought you guys would at least clap for that.
Well, first of all, you clap for something like that, then that seems to mean that you're approving of what he's doing. Now, his tax cuts, his tax increases, the largest ones in history, which would have been the government-run health care and cap and trade, he tried his best to pass those huge tax increases, and he didn't do it. And so, it's true that there aren't any tax increases now, but that's because he tried his best to increase taxes, and he failed. Now, do you stand up and applaud at that time? Because that is going to say to everyone, well, he really is committed to tax cuts, when he's not, and we know he's not. Look, all you have to do, Joe, is go back and get all the deficits from the 8 years of George Bush. You add them together and divide by 8, that's $251 billion a year. Add those together, it's at $1.5 trillion. He did $1.5 trillion of increases in his first year. And yet he was talking about the deficits and the debts that he inherited. It's disingenuous. It's just not true.
Senator, one of the things he talked about as well was trade with others and to balance trade, and we're going to double this, and then we're going to make everybody else play by the rules. Gosh, that's got to be just hyperbole, isn't it? I mean,
it doesn't mean anything. And it's words that give everyone an opportunity to clap. It's almost like we're going to go after the Chinese. He's not going after the Chinese. But when you say things like that, very carefully orchestrated phrases that say nothing, mean nothing, and yet they produce responses from the audience. It was beautifully done, I have to say that, but I don't think it's believable. I don't think it is by the majority of those who are sitting around me anyway.
And he mentioned global warming last night, and he gave kind of a caveat as he mentioned it. He says, even if you don't believe the science, this is what we should be doing because it'll make us the global leader in doing this. So your reaction?
Everything is.
We have a winter storm warning this morning again.
I told Denver, I said, I hope you and Connie are enjoying the global warming there.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he knows he doesn't have the votes, and he knows he went and told the people in Copenhagen that he did have the votes, and he was going to be doing these things. But for him to say that, it's something that isn't true. In terms of the science, I don't think he said too much about that, but he talked about we haven't given up. We're going to have government-run health care, and we're going to have global warming. We're going to have the cap and trade tax, and we're not. But that pacified a group that is out there that he's got to keep in his corner. So I think if you look at the groups he's catering to, there's a little bit for everyone. Most of it wasn't true. And I don't really want to be discourteous about this, but when I see things, when you talk about doing work openly, it's mind-boggling.
United States Senator Jim Inhofe this morning with reaction to last night's State of the Union address. Senator Inhofe, thank you, sir, so much.
Thank you, Joe.